Hey guys, it's Lindsey, and today I have a bit of a planner size update to share with you. I've been dipping in and out of my pocket Filofax and in the personal size since the beginning of April, but I think I've hit the 1 week mark of pretty much only using personal size. So we're calling it official that I'm in personal for now, and I thought I would share a little bit of an update. If you didn't catch my last video, no problem, welcome in. I have been planning since the beginning of the year in a pocket-sized Filofax and memory keeping in an A6 Hobonichi Techo, and nothing wrong with that, like no disastrous breakup video. I think it's just the season is changing and I'm in a new space and I've been craving something new. I'm a self-declared planner hopper, so I've been in pocket for 9 months straight, and that is great and worked really well for me. But now that I've got a bit more time, I wanted something a little bit different, and switching sizes felt like a nice easy shift into something slightly different, but the mechanics behind my system pretty much being exactly the same. And I don't know, rings is kind of like my home base at this point as a self-declared planner hopper. I've tried a lot of different planners, and even I will kind of go back into bound books a little bit here and there, but it just doesn't last. I think maybe because I started in ring planning, so it works well for me. I always kind of go back to it. But I moved into personal, I think it was November of 2024, and I've either been in personal or pocket ever since. So we're coming up on a year and a half in rings. And yeah, I think because it's such an easy to change system, it's very reminiscent of a bullet journal where you can just kind of flip the page, play around with the new layout, switch things out on a monthly basis. It allows me to kind of iteratively change things very slowly, but have the overall consistency of my planner stay the same. And I think that's the reason I've kind of stuck with it as long as I have. But anyway, hardware first. So this is the Gillio Firenze, I think I'm saying that correctly, Medium Companga in Epoca dark brown. That's the color. The medium size from Gillio Firenze is the same as a Filofax personal, so just so you know that they're kind of interchangeable there. This is definitely, I would consider it a luxury planner. It's a very high price point. This was a gift from my husband in 2013, so I love when I get to use things that are a bit more sentimental. And it's definitely like my holy grail, like unicorn planner that I wanted for a long time, and I absolutely love this. As I'm going through this, if you like this cover and you're looking for like a dupe or a more affordable version of it, I would point you towards the Moterm Veg Tan. They're a little bit bigger, I think, but have the same like pocket configuration and the 25mm rings, and you can swap them out to bigger ones. And this particular binder does have 25mm rings, and when people talk about their ring size, they're talking about the diameter of the actual ring itself. So a larger diameter allows you to hold more pages. And for me, 25 is kind of the max. I find that if I go to 30mm with personal size, because the page is narrow, that my hand kind of like interferes with the rings a little bit too much. And even in this setup, I strategically place different sections at different points in the binder so that the rings interact a little bit less, because I'm someone who prefers not to take their pages out. But I do occasionally, just depending on how neat I want something to look. So I do pop pages out, but in general, I kind of prefer to keep them in my binder. I'm using traditional personal size pages, so they are the same as a Filofax personal. If you're looking on Amazon at inserts, oftentimes they'll call it like an A6 6-ring size, so you can look online quick, look at whatever their page dimension is and compare it to Filofax's. Oftentimes they kind of mean personal, but A6 itself is actually a separate ring binder size, so it can get a little bit confusing. But I think it's like 6.75 inches by 3.25. That doesn't sound right. I'll put it down below what it is, but it's the same as Filofax. My paper, I personally choose to print and cut my own inserts. I do design and sell them, so shameless plug there. I do have a shop. It's the Ghosting Pen. I'll have it linked down below. And if you're looking for any of these inserts, almost all of them are listed in the shop. So I will point you there, and that's kind of where everything from my planner is from. But if you find printing and cutting inserts to be a little bit overwhelming, you can buy printed inserts from places. Filofax sells them. They're a great one I would recommend at kind of like a decent entry price point. I'm starting to see like JetPens and Yoseka start to pick up some different brands that sell printed inserts. I'm gonna butcher the name, so I'm not even gonna attempt. I'll put it down below, but there's like a particular binder, Ray something, that I'm starting to see inserts being sold for. You also could get them from Peanuts Planner Co. She does sell printed inserts as well in a really bright white paper, so if that's more your vibe, that could be great. But if you want to dip into printables and you're a little bit scared, I'm actually going to point you towards Peanuts Planner Co. Join her Facebook group. She has a lot of freebies on her website, but even more through her Facebook group. All of her inserts are great, super functional. It's what I used for years and years and years before I finally decided that what I wanted was more of like a consistent, smaller grid size throughout, and I prefer a gray-based ink versus a black ink so that my text is the thing that stands out most on the page. So that kind of eventually led me towards making and designing my own inserts. But if you're just getting started, Peanuts Planner Co. She's the queen of ring planning. I don't know if Ivara knows I exist, but I am a huge fangirl. So I'm just gonna send you her way, find the magic of her inserts, and then eventually, if you feel like mine are the vibe, maybe check it out. But anyway, I do print my inserts on Tomoe River Paper. I go for a 68 GSM Tomoe River Paper. It's a little bit thicker. It can handle a wash of watercolor better. If you're used to Hobonichi, they're typically around the 52 GSM mark, so a little bit thicker. It's still thinner than like your 20-pound copy paper, but that means I can fit more pages in my binder. Anyway, I think that kind of covers the basics. So sorry, I'm feeling chatty today. Let's get into the binder itself. So I'm not big on deco. I've got a couple pieces here and there that you'll see, maybe a couple photos, but I don't do like decorative pockets anymore. There was a phase, I guess not in it anymore, but I do keep some like 2x4 photo freebies in here. I've got stamps in the zipper pocket, some stickers back here as well. In the back, I've got them covered, but I do use this as my wallet currently. So I've got like my ID and credit card, etc. And this is a pencil board from Hobonichi that I've cut down to kind of fit in my personal a little bit better. But as is tradition, we kick off the planner with a Polaroid of Felix. He is a member of Stray Kids, which is a K-pop group, and he's my bias, so we'll leave it at that. From here, I've got a 2x4 photo freebie that I'm using just sort of as my setup list. So these are the things that I've been slowly kind of adding to my planner over the month. And then we go directly into my calendar pages. I am using dated pages for 2025 just because I have been traveling a lot, so it keeps things a little bit simpler. So the 2025 dated inserts in my shop only came in personal and pocket. I'm actually starting on 2026 now because they take so dang long. So I will hopefully have all my sizes next year, but for this year, I lost that battle. I did not move into this until April, so the first few months are blank. I will probably backdate it, but it hasn't been a priority. I did set up March just to kind of like set the tone, and I love how it turned out, but my calendars are primarily for scheduling, so birthdays, anniversaries, appointments. I make notes on like key events, like here was some stuff on Chicago Planner Conference that I wanted to remember and like see at a glance. I track key payments, like when we pay our mortgage or file our taxes and things like that, I tend to do on the monthly, and I do use this section as a running to-do list throughout the week. So this is what the month of April looked like. I don't really decorate my monthlies, a couple stickers here and there. I might come back and put some washi tape down because there's a nice blank space here for April, but it is primarily just to-dos. I'm liking having the extra space. Like this feels a lot more familiar, like my Hobonichi Weeks pocket size is adorable, but a little bit scrunched for how much traveling I have been doing. I do keep the full year in my binder at a time, just so I can kind of reference future and past very quickly. And I'm kind of a fully analog person for my personal life, so I do rely on this calendar pretty heavily. The back of the printable comes with a like rolling yearly Alistair style layout, and lots of different ways you could use this. I personally use it to track dates for 2026. So I wrote in 2026. I need to remind myself that my registration expires on March 31st. That way I know what month to plan to auto renew. But if I got an invite for a wedding next year, things like that, I would note that on here so that I can reference this all at once when I move into my 2026 calendars. But you could also use this as an adulting log for kind of like when you get things done or need to schedule particular tasks. Sleepy Notes Club uses a spread similar to kind of summarize all of our monthly habit trackers so that she doesn't have to keep them at the end of the year, which I think is a fantastic idea. So that's something you could do here as well. But following my monthlies, we have my weeklies. And I shared this in my pocket size, but I moved to a new weekly this year. I think with all the traveling, it's been nice to have more of a visual component. Since 2022, I think it was around April time, I've been using a week on one page rolling weekly style layout, and it has been perfect up until now. But with all the traveling, this is my current week, it's just been beneficial to have that visual component. So the left-hand page is split into two columns. The left one I use for all day events and appointments. So like birthdays, I've got family visiting, notes about the day. And then the right-hand section is for date specific tasks or kind of reminders for that day. And then on the right-hand page, from here up, it looks really similar to the rolling weekly. I've got my habit tracker, my running to-do list for the week. You could use this as a rolling weekly still, which is what I've kind of done down here. But I personally use this as a 2-section list. So it's just like general to-dos. And then this week it's a de-stash list, but it's also been like house to-dos primarily for most of the year, or like packing lists, things like that. And then this section, you've got 2 rows of 7 boxes, and I personally use this for meal planning. So I will like plan out what my lunches are each day and my dinners are each day, and then I cross them off as I eat them. It's less so on like, oh, I need to eat these on each specific day, more so that I eat everything that I've prepped or purchased ingredients for, so food doesn't go to waste. And then that way I can put in, like, I know we're gonna get pizza on Friday, so I put that in. If I eat out, like we plan to eat out, I'll put out, and then I know I need to like have one less portion when I'm cooking throughout the week, that type of thing. And then below that, I do like a running grocery list. So based on what I plan to eat, what do I need for groceries that I don't already have? And then like any sort of grocery list items that come up throughout the week, things that we would typically get at a grocery store versus like a Costco. And yeah, that's what I've been doing for the last part of this year. And obviously I'm kind of trying to decide if I'm going to backfill all of April or not, but I am liking this. And again, in personal size, having more space is super nice. This insert is now in the shop, and this insert is also available in Plotter Narrow. I've officially added Plotter Narrow to the shop if you're a Plotter user. So that's really exciting. The version of this, so this listing actually includes 4 files. There's a blank version, undated, a Monday start, a Sunday start, and then a blank left-hand version, which is what I'm using. So all of the files except for the one I'm using have grid on the left-hand page, because I think that's what my patrons voted was the preference. But I like having the completely blank left-hand page, so there is the version that I'm using included in that file as well. So something to check out if you're interested. I keep about 3 months worth of weekly spreads in my planner, which is something I never would do in pocket size. And I really enjoy having a bit more, less printing that I have to do when I am in personal. So behind that, we get my first divider, and these dividers are from Filofax. I don't know, I like the manila folder feel. They're my favorite to use. I do have some other dividers. If you're looking for dividers and don't want to necessarily like buy a Filofax, most of them come with dividers. I think you can even buy these separately, but don't quote me on that. I just like the plain Jane Filofax ones. That's what I've been kind of using the most regularly. So this section is my habit tracker section, and if I can get back on my soapbox for one more minute, I will say that I am a habit tracker individual. Like, this is right up my alley, and I know for a lot of people, like, tracking is not your thing. So, you know, don't set up a tracker that you don't think is going to be beneficial to you. But this section sort of plays to my strengths. I love checking little boxes off, and I will do anything for my checkbox. But one thing I love about Filofax or a ring-bound system in general is that I can group like information together. So it used to drive me insane when I would bullet journal that like most of my trackers list collections would be in the front of my notebook, but then by page 100, all of a sudden there was this like new thing that I wanted to track. And I had to remember to kind of flick to both sections in my bullet journal, where in a ring bound organizer, I can reorganize that. Like, I can add that tracker in and just seamlessly add it in with the rest of them. And even if I find like I need some remediation on a particular list or collection or habit, I can bring it to the front of this this section so that I see it more regularly. So I don't know, it helps me with my object permanence. That being said, once I flip the page, you will see that I've been poorly tracking, but in my defense, I've been kind of in and out of this size for April, and only in the past week decided that, yeah, I'm gonna stick with it. But the first insert is my compact mood log. So the way I use this is at the end of each day, I come in and just do like, what is my high level mood? I kind of vary my interpretation on these things, but it's just general, like what was the vibe at the end of the day? I try not to overthink it, just kind of go with my gut on that. And then the right-hand side is basically space to kind of add any notes. The way I have typically used this is I do this as a gratitude log, because even if I have really bad days, and personal disclaimer, I do struggle with mental health. I've got anxiety, depression, and standalone insomnia. So I kind of monitor a lot of this to say like, oh, okay, maybe my medication isn't working how it is, or I'm not taking care of myself. I'm starting to see the trend of a depressive episode, or on the flip side, like maybe I am depressed, but this can help me kind of objectively see that, you know, actually there's a lot of really good things that happen throughout the day. So I like this insert for that reason. I used to scoff at mood logging, like what was the point? And then it like dawned on me maybe a year and a half ago how important this is for me. I think it's been 2 years now, and I really enjoy it. It's a fun little insert. Also, it looks good, so you know. But you could also, like, if you don't want to do a gratitude log, you could describe like what your mood is, or maybe what drove you to that mood. You could do like a dream log. I've thought about doing that, a line a day, vocabulary word of the day, you know, lots of different ways to use it. But my personal take is high level mood, and then one thing that I'm grateful for. On the back section, I have a horizontal monthly habit tracker. This is a like R&D version that I didn't want to go to waste, but I do have a horizontal monthly habit tracker in the shop where the squares are actually square. So that is listed as well. And then I have my cycle log. This is what I call an annual monthly view. So it's the months across the top, numbered 1 through 31, and then a small note section at the bottom. And I track my cycle. So when I'm menstruating, different symptoms, all of that in here. And then on the back of that, I have my planner system log, which has been a fun little thing this year. Just at the end of the day, like sometimes I'll jump between a couple of planners if it's a really chaotic day. So just what I spent the most time in is what I log. And it's just fun to see like how many days was I in rings at the end of the year, that type of thing. After that, I've got my workout log, and I track my workouts because I don't enjoy moving my body. I am a very sedentary person, so just like going for a walk is big for me and my mental, so I like to log that on here. This is what I call the annual weekly, I think was summary view. So the annual weekly this is weeks number 1 through 26, Monday through Sunday. There is a Sunday start version included too, but I just write down the first letter of each of the workouts that I do, and then I have a summary column on the right hand side. So the way I personally use it is I'll just do, again, like I said, W for walk, dot didn't work out, lines I was traveling, so no workout. But I actually just track my average weight on the side because I'm kind of in a maintenance phase, so just keeping tabs on that. But if you were a runner, for example, you could write down your total mileage. You could write like how many days out of the week you worked out or rested, or like high level like notes on that, mood, maybe a PR, things of that. And then there's a large note section at the bottom. So I'm actually planning on doing a key down here at the end of the year, and then maybe like a mid-year check-in, since the first half is 26 weeks, like what's my goal for the second half of the year? And then the rest of it's on the back. Then I have my adulting log, which I think I've talked a lot about, so we'll just do the Cliff Notes version, but this is an Alistair style list / when did I last page, and I break this into like 4 sections. So I've got kind of like personal monthly recurring things, so sanitizing my menstrual cup, washing the mattress pads, swapping out razor blades, when did I last replace my mascara tube. I've got monthly like house chores, so washing our dishwasher filter, cleaning out the washer gasket, swapping out our air filter quarterly. I've got a transportation, so oil changes, rotating tires, paying vehicle insurance and our registration, finance. I've got, any month we invest money, paying sales tax for my shop, paying our mortgage, doing an extra principal payment. I'm going to try and do a photo book this year digitally. It's not going well, but that's on there. And then some more finance things, basically when we filed our taxes. And then when I do my 2025 Roth distribution, I will put that in there. On the back of it, it's very similar vibe. It's just for medical things. So basically, when is my annual appointments with my eye doctor so that I can make sure that I'm getting all those done throughout the year. And then we kind of shift to collections. If you are new to bullet journaling, this is kind of a something I picked up from there. So a collection is basically collecting like information into one space. So this is basically a log of every date night that my husband and I have gone on this year. And then on the back, I summarize some conversations with some individuals as well. I've got a to-do list for things in my area that we want to do this year. And then when we go to a lake, I like to write that down because we live in Minnesota. And then I recently added a new list for sewing projects because I got my sewing machine back out because I've been hemming curtains for our main living space, and then remembered suddenly that I can sew. So there's some things that I've been working on from there. We are 22 minutes into this video. I apologize in advance. Oh my gosh. I just wanted to do like a detailed talk through, but now I'm maybe regretting it, but okay. From there we have a mini finance section. This is a fold out that I DIY'd. This is not available in the shop because I have not harnessed the power of fold outs consistently, but I use some washi dots from Stalogy just to track some of my spending hygiene habits. Just some notes that I was taking. I'm kind of contemplating doing a project, like a project planner pan, some notes on that. I have my wish list, which I do rely on heavily just to help me with my impulsive spending. I have a spending and package tracker just for my own personal money. I have the same insert, but for planner specific spend this year because I've been trying to do a stationary low buy. I have been tracking home furniture purchases, which is like wild how quickly that adds up. Then I've got a blank one, which I will use for future months. Pikachu. Then we move into section 2. So section 2 is my dailies. I do have another just DIY perpetual fold out that again isn't in the shop because I've yet to master them, but this is what I do to index my daily pages. So I just write down kind of the key things that happened. And if there's any kind of reference signifier that goes on the left-hand side of the dates. And then we move into my dailies. So I've got a bunch of blank ones in the front because I think I might, backfill some of my spreads, but I'll just show you some of the completed ones. If you have seen any of my other ring videos, these will feel pretty familiar. But one thing I want to kind of specify is right now, I'm not really using my A6 Hobonichi Techo because I am memory keeping and journaling all in one book again. So this is very reminiscent of my early 2024 setup. Like this is my work planner, my personal planner, my wallet, my sketchbook, my everything, all in one book. And if I could communicate how like stress relieving it is to only have one thing for everything. It is lovely and something I really enjoy about being in the personal size because I feel like I've got enough space to do that. But this is the 4mm daily log, and at the top I do my running to-do list for the day, just kind of checking my weeklies, monthlies, doing a little bit of a mental inventory, dropping that down, and then I'm up here real time kind of working throughout the day. And then once I kind of get to the end of my productivity time, I draw a line usually with pencil, and then I memory keep at the bottom. So I print off photos, I'll sketch something, sometimes it's just text, I'll place a sticker, but just kind of write about the day from a memory keeping perspective. And it's really nice to see it all together in one space. And it doesn't take me very long because the page is pretty small. But a little bit more space than in my pocket rings. So I feel like this is like the Goldilocks amount of size, and I can always add in other pieces of paper if I want to layer, if I have more to say. So that's been really nice. But in April, we went and saw Princess Mononoke in IMAX, which is really nice. I moved into personal about this day. I watched the Grand Budapest Hotel for the first time and really enjoyed myself. So that was such a great movie. Dinner date with my husband. We had a music night. Painted my office ceiling. My first video of the year went up. Went for a walk. Built some chairs from IKEA. Brandon baked some bread. I got these stickers from Chicago Stationery Fest and split them with Randy, and it felt sacrilegious to use them, but I did. Blank pages from where I was still kind of using my pocket rings, and then moved back into this around the 19th, and then I've been in it pretty consistently ever since. Got my first light stick. I'm going to see Stray Kids in June, and I'm so excited. This is my husband's birthday in April, so some photos from that. We got crumble cookie and cleaning. I don't print photos off every day. I try and print pictures like once or twice a week. And then the way I print photos, I basically load them onto the Canva app, resize them from there, and then I print them out all at once on like an 8.5, 11 sheet of sticker paper. So when I resize them, I'll take a ruler and just kind of measure out like how big the photo will be and then write around it. And that's kind of my general theory. Or I'll just leave the page blank and come back and fill it in after I print pictures out. A little bit of watercoloring, haven't done that day, and here is my current daily. Another thing I'm liking about 25mm rings is I have, I think, 3 months of inserts in here, so April, May, and I have enough for March in here currently, so a quarter. Don't know if I'll keep a full quarter in here at a time. I'll probably take April out since it's like semi-complete, but yeah, we'll get there when we get there. Section 3 is a private affair. We will be skipping that. And then we have my work section. So quick disclaimer, I plan for work in a standard size Hobonichi weeks, and that really isn't going to change because when I do travel, I don't necessarily want to take my binder from like room to room, and there's a lot of personal information just kind of sitting around. So I do have a standard size weeks that I use when I'm in the office or traveling to a plant or whatever it is for work. But when I am home, since I do primarily work from home, last year I discovered that I just did better having my work planner integrated with my personal, but I do like the mental separation of kind of putting it behind its own divider. I've got another Pokemon reboot for like motivation to get through work in here, but my work inserts are really simple. I don't do much for work videos anymore because if there was a system, I would love there to be and I would share it with you, but pretty much what I do. This insert is the 5-day Vertigo Weekly from the shop, so Monday through Friday, and then a column for running to-do list. I have been working weekends, so this has been Saturday and Sunday for a little bit here. But pretty much if I have something I personally need to accomplish via like direct contact, like I don't have like a work item digitally or a meeting for it, or just like I need to think on paper very quickly to break a task down so it's less overwhelming, this is where I do that. And to be honest, most of the time I write things down and I don't even come back and check them off, because once I write it down, I've like mentally created that map and I can kind of move forward and execute, or it's like no longer a problem 2 days later or something like that. So there's no real system other than it is space for me to think on paper and put together lists. So once I write it down, I don't forget it. But at the top, I kind of use this as like all day events. So I'm tracking primarily like who's traveling this week within my core team, who's on vacation, or if I have any like big meetings that I need to prep for. And then otherwise it's just Wild West down below. And yeah, like this is my current week, and it's just, yeah, I have been checking things off, so we're proud of myself there, but it's not the norm. So, but yeah, that's my work planner, and I keep about a month in there at a time. And I actually don't even keep these pages. I toss them out at the end of the month. It's very cathartic. Would highly recommend. All right, home stretch. So section number 5 is my house section. My husband and I purchased a home at the beginning of March and moved in, and we're very excited about it. But this is where I've been slowly kind of accumulating how to care for the home, tracking projects, things to buy, things like that. This is actually from a pamphlet that we got, but this is our recycling pickup day calendar, so we remember when to put the bins out. I have a DIY weekly cleaning checklist, so just the areas I need to clean, my week numbers, and then kind of checking things off so that things don't lag too far behind. I want to make myself an actual insert for this, like a horizontal cleaning log, but for now, this is working. I have my master to-do list, which was a list that kind of got me really through the home buying process, but I've got a couple things left over, so carried this forward. On the back of this, I have my moving checklist, which is primarily like things we needed to change our address on. And then a project list. This is actually the 4mm daily log. I just added an extra column with a pencil. And I'm writing down the projects. These were things that came from like our home inspection list, or just like as we're living in the house, small things that we would like to change. So I add the projects here, and then I tag it as like an urgent need or want, so that we can prioritize the urgent things and get those done. Some of them are seasonal things, so I have to kind of wait, like we can't get this cleaned out until May, so we'll get that scheduled soon. But yeah, that's how I've been tracking that. And then I have a to buy list. So this is like furniture that we're looking for, or like specific tools that we need for the house. And then I've created my column to tag it urgent, need, and want, but haven't gotten that far. And then finally, just a small list of things we're enjoying about the house that I think will be fun to look back on the end of year one. Okay, so last section is kind of an amalgamation of several things that just made more sense to put towards the back of my planner. The first part of this is my LindseyScribbles section, and I've only added a couple things in here for now. I need to add more in here, but I just got an insert where I track some dimensions for making inserts in the shop, so that is there for my reference. And then I have an ideas slash kind of like an Alistair tracker of completing the particular sizes so that I can get them listed in the shop. Lots of things that I want to get back to designing. And then I have Midori MD cream paper, which I've cut down from an MD cream paper pad to personal size. And I just call this my sketchbook paper. I'm really trying to manifest getting back to sketching regularly, which is something I did last time I was in personal size. So I've had a few pieces there. And then to kind of subtly divide that, I have the top loading pocket. This one is from Filofax. She's quite flimsy, but it is useful to like stick in like paper bits. Like I've got some ephemera that I don't want to lose. Obviously in this cover, I could just pop it in one of the many pockets, but if I'm in a different cover, then I'll just like slip it in here, and I'll do receipts in here occasionally too. But otherwise it helps me kind of find my space. And this is my diary. So I do journal in rings, and I think this was like an eye-opening thing for me a couple years ago, because I always just think of rings as a planner, not necessarily as a journal. I don't really commonplace. There's occasionally, there's like information I want to find again that just goes directly on my daily, or it might find its way in here, but I don't have like a proper commonplace section. Maybe one day I will get into that, but this is mostly like morning pages, rambling, thinking about projects, just kind of needing to clear my head. Some of it can sometimes be creative writing. It depends, whatever I feel like, putting pen and paper on the day, or just kind of layering some stickers to do like a cute little collage. All of that kind of happens in the journal. It's very overarching. I've just got a few spreads in here. I'm not going to show all of them. I've been very open and honest with myself on journaling, which has been good. I think that's been a big change for me this year. I generally find that as someone who shares their journals online, I can kind of self-censor a little bit, which has not been the best for me. So I'm going to be a little bit more choosy with the spreads I share, but I do want to show some of them so you can get the vibe. I'm using fountain pen in here. This is the 4mm notes pages, and printing out photos kind of the same way I normally do, just through Canva onto sticker paper. I'll put the sticker paper down below for you so you can look it up. The date stickers I'm using are from Randy.plans. I bought the full year's worth and I'm really liking them. Let me see. I can show you this page too. Got the Filofax Garnet Lockwood cover. I'm really enjoying that. I'm having Love and Trip phone though. These ones I tagged as privates. I can show you that one, and I can show you this one. This is where I'm currently at. Yeah, so that's that Filofax divider to kind of find where I'm at, and then I've got a bunch of blank ones back there. And then I do have the weekly spreads from Filofax that came with one of the covers I got this year. I'm not a huge fan of the QR code. I'm using this for kind of like morning spiritual practice, but we're gonna leave it at that. So I just kind of do some morning journaling on these pages just to use them up. I would definitely prefer to make my own inserts, but I have them and they're dated, so I felt like they needed to be used. And then I have a page lifter in the back. You don't need a page lifter, but the basic mechanics is that the last few pages can kind of get beat up at the end, or they can kind of curve pretty aggressively into the ring. So a page lifter just kind of keeps things flat on the back. It also adds a stable writing surface because writing surface because I do keep my credit cards and things in the back, so it's a little bit bumpy. Mine is from Foxyfix. They're unfortunately no longer in business. I think if you buy Moterm, theirs comes with something very akin to this, but just a general sheet of plastic will do. It, you know, something stiff, cardstock or something. You don't need anything specific, but I do like a page lifter, and I always appreciate having one. This is a Polaroid of my husband and I in college. We were just absolute babies, and yeah, that was a very long video. So hopefully that was helpful or beneficial, or maybe you picked up some ideas from it. But yeah, personal planner, I'm enjoying having it all together. I typically find personal to be a little bit heavy to kind of use as my all-in-one everything. So sometimes I will supplement with like a pocket ring setup as like just a wallet / calendar situation. But I do have a couple bags that fit personal pretty well, and I am just kind of using this as the all-in-one for now, and it hasn't been too bad. Like, it's really not too bad. Personal is still a very portable size. I'm just like not taking my tiny bags out and about. Oh, I am using fountain pen. For most of this year, I've actually been using gel pen, but the Uniball 1 and 0.5 has been my go-to. But now that I am at home for at least a month, I'm back to using my trusty but very beat up. I'm trying to lean into the wabi-sabi feel. She's got her bangs and scratches and dents, and she's turning shiny and losing color in places. But this is my trusty Pilot Vanishing Point in extra fine, and that's what I'm using for all of my writing, although occasionally I do pull out the gel pen. When I travel, I find gel pen just to be a little bit easier, so I've been mixing kind of between the two. But yeah, we are back in our fountain pen era and loving it. But yeah, that's my setup. If you guys have any questions, let me know down below. Thank you if you made it to the end of the video. You are a real one. And yeah, hopefully I will talk to you soon. Bye.